Hi everyone, if you think that 2023 is the year that you're going to make the switch to electric, we are here to help.
Yeah, that's right. We brought along 4 electric cars from 4 different segments, and in this video, we're going to run you through each of their details.
First up, we've got what's probably the most instantly recognisable EV. We've got a Tesla Model 3. This isn't the top spec, it's a standard range, but you still get about 270 miles. It's rear-wheel drive, but the best thing about Tesla is that even if you haven't bought the top trim, it will always be packed with tech.
Yeah, and these have sold immensely well in Britain. I remember one day I hadn't seen any in the UK, and then it felt like I woke up the next day and they were everywhere on the road.
Literally everywhere.
And it's for good reason, really. They look good, they handle really well, and of course, as you said, they are packed full of tech. And I think the infotainment system inside these cars is actually a real party piece. So much so, actually, that should we get in there and have a play with it?
Let's get in there. The main focal point of the Tesla interior is this amazing infotainment screen. Not only is it obviously huge, but oh my gosh, it is loaded with fun things to play with. So you've obviously got Apple CarPlay, all of that, that's a given. But you've got Spotify, you've got games for kids to play, you've got a home cinema, you can Netflix and chill if you want to, you can do karaoke while you're bored. If you're charging, you can just entertain yourself the whole time. It's brilliant.
Yeah, honestly, there is more tech and more home cinema offerings in this system than I have in my own flat. In fact, the whole interior is probably a little bit nicer than my flat. It's a bit Scandinavian in here, isn't it? It's very simplistic. There are basically no buttons other than those that you get on the steering wheel and on the doors to open the doors. Otherwise, it's just really clean and tidy in here. And you've got lots of storage space as well. You've got big storage space down here, cup holders.
Sam's favourite.
Exactly, loads of room in here as well. And because you don't have a transmission tunnel, which you don't get in electric cars, it means that you don't have any space being taken up in the back here. So you've got loads and loads of legroom in the rear. It's not a particularly big car, but the space in the rear of this thing is really very impressive. And when it comes to practicality, it's got another trick up its sleeve. If you do the honours, Freda.
I'm going to pop the front.
And we're going to get out into the cold and show you its party piece up front. So not all electric cars have this, but this Tesla does. You've got a bit of storage space down here. It's not massive, is it?
It's not. It's 2 weekend bags worth, we'd put it that.
2 weekend bags if you don't pack too much, yeah. I think it's definitely a very usable space. And of course, you still have a big boot at the back, which means it's very practical indeed.
It is very practical.
A spot, some cameras down here as well.
Yeah, Tesla, one of the best features is that they are just packed with safety kit. Like, everywhere is a sensor, everywhere is a camera. It's semi-autonomous driving, done perfectly, pretty much.
It's really good, isn't it? Yeah, really high-tech stuff, so easy to drive. And conveniently, the next car we have in our selection also comes jam-packed with driver assistance features.
Yeah, this is the Hyundai Kona Electric, and it's a very family-friendly, yet affordable option. In fact, one of the most affordable ones we have here.
Yeah, in fact, this one here is just over 35k, which, given that it has 300 miles of range, means that it does come offering so much. And actually, no clearer is that than inside, where it's nice and toasty. Woo.
So the interior is a little bit more traditional, because we'll put it nicely. But that doesn't mean that you're actually missing out on anything tech-wise, or any sort of the more high-end features you might expect. You've obviously got a digital display, you've got head-up display when you're driving, another safety feature. You've got, you know, phone projection, you've got Apple CarPlay, everything like that you'd expect. But then you've got very nice features for us in this cold weather, like heated seats. They're also cooled, but I will not be touching that right now. No. And a heated steering wheel, which I can hang on to, and Sam unfortunately can't at this point.
But we're not sure, Tech, you mentioned it, there are buttons everywhere. It's such a contrast to the Tesla interior because you have so many features controlled by actual buttons, which I like, by the way. Infotainment system, all right. Home cinema's not there, but everything else you need is in this interior. And because you're in an SUV shaped car, I mean, it's not really a proper SUV, but it's shaped like one. It means that you've got good space, you sit upright, good visibility, and also in the back as well, there's lots of room. And I know, because we looked earlier, the boot is very practical as well. So because this is basically an SUV shaped car, you get an SUV shaped boot, which basically means it's nice and tall, nice and high, flat loading space here, and you've got some space underneath as well, which is actually mostly where you're going to store your charging cables. So when it comes to small families, it's a pretty spacious offering.
Yeah, and if you want even more space and more power, then this car could be the one for you. This is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. It is a very sporty looking SUV, and it's a thoroughbred because it's pretty powerful, right?
Yeah, well, it's an all-wheel drive car, isn't it? And it's just over 270 horsepower.
Yeah.
And doesn't it look it as well? I mean, all of these features on the car. I mean, I spot, you know, badges and Mustang aping, and that's the petrol Mustang, by the way, aping features on the car, front and rear.
Yeah.
Red calipers. That
Definitely
kind of
brings the American muscle car look. I mean, it's pretty on the eye.
It is very pretty on the eye, but actually this thing is full of very unique high technology.
Yep, there's something on your door.
Oh yes, of course. So it has these keypad buttons here, which are actually touch sensitive. They are effectively a replacement for your key. So if you forget your key, you can just enter your code pressing these buttons. Thankfully, I have, of course, got my key. So I can press this button and get in here. So it's another one here that's actually got a real focus on tech. There are two screens in front of me, but I mean, this one dominates the cabin.
Yeah, this one I think is amazing. I might even prefer it to the Model 3 just because I really like the fact that it's portrait. It's obviously huge, but it's so similar to scrolling with your phone, which I love. It's very intuitive. Like, it's just one drop-down menu, get whatever you need, and then you can really easily swipe while you're driving.
And there's a big volume control knob down here, which is quite handy because I don't like fiddling with touch buttons when I'm trying to change the volume. But also, I have to say, it's just massive in here. I mean, it's
so spacious.
It's a simplistic feel again. There are a few buttons here and there, but what really stands out is how much space there is between us. I mean, these seats are like armchairs, and then you've got all of this space in between us, wireless phone charging, cup holders, and then, I mean, there's basically a bucket of space in there. You could get a lot of things in there. And you could also get a lot of people in there, 3 people, but they can be pretty big because the seats are very wide and there's loads of legroom as well. I mean, if it's space and scale you want, Mach-E is going to be where it's at.
Large family, you're good in here.
Yeah, and in the boot.
And in the boot.
Yep, as far as boots go, this thing is, well, predictably enormous. I mean, you've got good height here. Okay, it's got a bit of a swoopy roofline, but you've got some storage space under here, which means you can hide your cables away, your charging cables, leaving your boot nice and free. And I mean, there's loads of room there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a massive amount of room.
Yeah, although that does actually mean, of course, this is a massive car. And I mean, if you struggle with parking, although visibility is very good in this thing, it is a massive footprint of car.
Yes, but we're going from the largest to the smallest. And so if you want a nice city car option, this VW ID.3 is really good.
Yeah, it is a nice little motor.
So this is actually the Pro Life trim, which means you get like a good amount of tech and it's a good spec. It's just not the most expensive.
Yeah, but it's still very sensible, isn't it? I mean, you get about 260 miles of range and it's got 100 kilowatt charging technology, which means you can plug into a rapid charger and go from 10 to 80% in, what, about half an hour?
Yeah,
so that's
give
like
or take.
Coffee and toilet break, and this thing will be ready to go again.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's just very well thought out and stylishly sensible, both outside and in.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a very sensible interior, isn't it? It kind of screams practicality and functionality above all else. I mean, there are a couple of screens here, and obviously the main one is here in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not stand out in the way that the Tesla or the Mach-E is, but it's got everything that you need. It's got all the tech. It's just not necessarily the easiest to navigate.
Yeah, although having said that, the interior itself is very simple to navigate because you're very short on buttons and everything you need is at a fingertip reach. I mean, all the controls on the steering wheel and around here are just nicely concentrated in small areas. So it's all very easy to use. And of course, functionally, this interior has got loads of space. I mean, it's not the biggest car here, as we said, and yet we've got a big centre section here with so many variations on storage. We've got cup holders down here and a bit of flexible storage down there, space for your
Door bins are good too.
Door bins, smartphone.
And, I mean, it does have heated seats and a heated steering wheel as well. So, you know, there's a bit of bouginess going on too.
Yeah, and of course, armrests as well. There are no armrests in the back, are there? But I can see that the space, again, is really good. There's something about electric cars and rear space. They're often very good.
So, it might be the smallest car here, but the boot is the biggest surprise, because not only, as you can see, does it go really far back, but it's really deep too. So you can get a lot in here, right?
Yeah, I mean, ID.3 is definitely a smart buy when it comes to an electric hatchback. In fact, I think all the cars we've shown you today would constitute as smart buys. But of course, they're just 4. There are so many more electric cars out there, and they're all on cinch.co.uk.
Yeah, and don't forget to tell us what your 2023 pick would be below. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon.